birds are out having fun. Tomorrow is my grafting day. Tomorrow, I've been looking forward to tomorrow for a long time. And it was just kind of an arbitrary day, but I wanted it to be a weekend. And really, I should have done it today, but I had to plan ahead with my queen. And we had some other plans too. My wife is going to come and do some queen grafting this year, and I'm very excited about that, as is she. So that's why we had to do it on a weekend. She's got a day job. And so I can kind of prepare for creating my builder. I'd like to create the builder today, but I'm no expert. I have taken some courses. I've studied a lot. I've had a lot of really good counsel on it. I've had some pretty good experience last year with it. So I think I'm a reasonably good reference for success. I call it a builder. It is a builder, but it's specifically it's a cell starter. Because I use a cell starter slash cell finisher system. The cell finisher is a separate colony. It's a a strong queen-right colony for finishing the cells. And I'll detail all that as I go with the queen rearing system. And again, this is what I'm doing. You may have a better way. May have a way that you like better, and that's great. That's one of my favorite things about beekeeping and queen rearing specifically in this case, is that there are so many different methods to attain success, and they all have the potential for excellent success. There are those who would argue that there is one way to do it to get the best success, and maybe those people are right. But that way maybe isn't within the grasp or the knowledge base, the knowledge level, the skill level, and even the desire for the average person. Grafting is very intimidating for a lot of people. It has been for me, particularly seeing those tiny larvae. my vision isn't great, so that's the intimidating part for me. And oddly enough, the fact that my vision isn't great is my asset, and I can detail that later. It just has to do with what I can see close. So I like that about it. You can experiment, you can choose different methods to attain your goals, and you can still get a very good product out of that. And I don't think, in my opinion, the average person really needs to burden themselves. Improving your knowledge and your skill is always good, and I always encourage that. However, if you're not going to do it because you think it's too hard, don't let that stop you. It's not too hard. Maybe you can't first or second try do it perfectly, by the standards of some people who've been doing it their whole life, and that's fine. Do it, and you'll see the results you get, and you'll learn about what affects your results. So I just want to encourage people to do it, because when I started grafting and I had mated queens here in the yard, man, it changed my life. It totally changed my life. I see people, I look at the forums online a lot, and I see people put requests regularly, especially later in the season. And often it's a hobbyist. They've got 2 hives, and they're losing their mind because, oh my God, they need a queen, and it's the middle of August. What am I going to do? I'm dead. I'm dead in the water. No reason for that. No reason for that at all. You can have that queen sitting on the sideline, ready to go when you need it, and it's going to cost you next to nothing, and it's going to cost you actually very little effort to arrange that. So that's my goal, just to encourage those who think it's an unattainable process, they're intimidated by it. I just want to encourage you to at least give it a really good fair shake in the context of doing it on your level, your not your level as in a condescending way, but your level of beekeeping, whether you got 1 hive or 2 or 100. That's what I mean by your level. Your scale, I suppose, is the right term. So there is a way to do it on your scale. And what I'm doing here today is not exactly what you're going to do if you have 2 colonies, because I'm going to take down, I could take down 3 or 4 of these colonies today. I sacrifice those. I don't really, because I use them, but I sacrifice those for the queen raising process, because I know I'm replacing those super easy and more, 10 times that many, or 20 times that many. So it's a sacrifice that I can certainly live with and that I can certainly recover from in the process. So anyway, I'm babbling. So I'll try and show you what I'm doing here today. Hopefully it works out. I don't know. The real objective is to get into the bees on a nice day, because this is about the 3rd nice day in 2022, and just have some fun. One of my little purchases yesterday at Costco was what appears to be a nice tote. Only got my veil in it now, but the reason for this is I'm a long way from my building yet. When it's dry enough, I'm going to move that camper over here closer. But for now, I'm going to put some of my tools, my lifter and my spacer, my hive tool. I can put my smoker fuel and my paper, my striker in there, keep them dry, keep them from blowing away. So I found that I've done that before, and it actually works really well. Hopefully it's waterproof, that the rain doesn't end up going in it for some reason. I don't know how UV stable it is. I may set some pallets up or something just to shade it from the sun. So again, I'm going to select a few, and the number is indeterminate at this time, depending on how well the resources go for building the cell starter. So I'm going to just start at the front of this row, and I'm going to choose 21s, and it looks like there's only one, this one, that is a 21, and we'll go through this one and we'll see what's there and see what we can use. Okay, on closer inspection I see that both of these are 21s. Let's see what they look like. They're not exactly a boomer, but we'll get in there. See what's going on. Story frame is largely ignored. There's really nothing on this frame but a queen. Is the big queen right here. So we will just set her right on the edge here while I inspect her work. See what she's been doing. So now I decide, what do I do with this? I could use the majority of the brood for one of my Queenless Nucs that I'm making. You know, I could put 2 or even 3 frames of that in a Queenless, and that would make a good start. A nice amount of sealed brood that's going to be emerging, and strengthen that nuke. I think that's probably a good use for this. And otherwise, I may move her to a small box, keep her, which is kind of keep her as a resource colony in a small box. Close the entrance. This is the nuke I'm going to keep, and it's one of my little 4 frames that I made last year. I think she's been laying in the story frame, so I want to take that. She's on that frame anyway. And then I'll take the next frame because she's laid a lot of eggs on this side of it. So I'll give her those two. The nuke box isn't as deep, so I need to get rid of the coal that's on the bottom there. Okay, so that's what that nuke is going to have. I need two more frames. I can maybe put this one over here. This one has feed in it, just so they have something to sustain them, but they're not going to be lacking in foragers because I'm going to take this nuke when I'm done and it'll go right back here where I'm going to take this box away. Okay, I'm going to get an empty frame to put there. Okay, my empty frame is right here. Just slide that right in there. And then we'll put the lid on that. Okay, that's good. I'll close that entrance for now. And then when I set it back down there, I'll open it up. And so I'm going to put a lot of the brood that's in here. I want you to be able to see this, so I'll move this over. I've got three resource frames in here. And I'll leave them two fairly decent brood frames. And then I'll give them a shake of bees off this one. Close the entrance there. Okay, so that's my Queenless nuke for the 100 nuke customer. And this is just a resource nuke for me. She's not good enough to sell or for production, but she's laying. She's going to produce brood, and then, as I was telling you, the grafting has changed my beekeeping. That's one way. I don't get rid of old queens just because they're old. I requeen heavily, but I keep them churning brood all summer. And so there's not really, there's one frame of brood in here. So I'm going to tip this up out of the way. And then I'll put this, open the entrance to this, and then set it. No handles on the ends of these. Right in place here. And then the foragers will find their way back into this little nuke to support them. This one has a 1 on it, so it might not be something I want to sell either. But we'll see. Check them out. They have a 1 that was put on there a month ago, and now they're looking really good. And that's awesome. Because it means they've recovered. Cap brood and laid, and there's the queen right there. So, what do? Do I nuke her as well? And then use these resources? I can nuke this one to sell, because she's obviously a star. So that's what I'll do. I'm going to put her over in the Pro Nuke there. Okay, I'll put another one with her. What's this one? Well, that's brood too. Son of a gun. both sides. Okay. That's a pretty nice nuke, I think. Let her lay a little while, and she'll have another frame of brood in here. So I'll put an empty in here. I would have to have 3 more frames. I'll put this frame, it's full of bees. Lots of drones, just because you can't see it. Okay, so I've got 2 empties, 2 broods, and a feed frame. It's mostly feed. A little nectar flow right now, so they don't need a ton of feed on board. Okay, so now I can make another queenless out of this. Okay. This is a good feed frame with some bees on it. I'll just put that right in there. I'm gonna close the door. I'll get 2 frames of brood. Boy, that's a nice frame of brood. Son of a gun, that's a nice. Okay. I've got a frame of brood there. I'll shake this one. I need 2 more. So I'll get one that's kind of empty and a feed for that. Yeah, these jesters. Look, the lid doesn't stay open. So it's a little bit of empty space on it. It's going to be transferred before long anyway. And there's another one that's partially empty, partially feed. Okay, so that's the nuke. And that's queenless nuke number 2. Probably enough to make another queenless nuke. Start with this nice feed frame. Start with the feed frames that holds the jester from blowing away. Oh, look at that. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. Some nice frames. I'm going to give him 3 of those because they're not as much, and then he gets that shake of bees with that. So I'm going to get another one that's somewhat empty. That's some feed and empty space. Okay, so there's queenless nuke number 3. Now, you say where the forager is going to go. I have a couple of choices with that. A couple of options. I have 1 choice, 2 options. I can do nothing, take this box away. Foragers will find their way to these hives or this nuke. Or I can take the pro nuke that I just made and set it in this space, and the foragers will come back here. I think I will do that because it won't do this nuke anything but good. Oh, bet you the bees love that. And they gotta live somewhere until someone comes to get them. So just slide the door up, set them in place, and they're good. I'm placing these on the no vent, so the cover sits down tight-ish, not ventilated, because it's still a bit cool. Still a bit cool out here. We'll just move down the line here. Not having to use much smoke. I always want it handy, but don't always use it much. I'll just keep going. I'll make these nukes and get them squared away and off my mind. So just to take inventory here of where we're at, I've got 3 queenless nukes done, and I need 1 more, and then I can build queen right nukes with the bees I free up for the cell starter. And again, I'll just take her and the frame she's on set her aside in a nuke, either in a pro nuke for sale or a little wooden nuke just to provide resources for mated queens later on. I just stumbled upon that little program. I don't imagine I invented it, because I think it's very similar to what Michael Palmer does. He raises nukes specifically for resource hives. Resource meaning brood factories, he calls them. And I don't really do that, but I just take the queens, the productive queens that are from the colonies I'm requeening, and I let those be my resource hives. She should be marked. And if she is, I'll just set her in that pro nuke to my right. Use that as what people call a quiet box. People will have a little nuke box or something near them, and they have it. And sometimes they'll have just a piece of canvas or something over top. And as they work, they can just set a frame in the quiet box, cover it with the canvas. Maybe even these 2 frames I took out, which I don't think you can see. They put that in the quiet box. If there's bees on them, or if there's a queen they want to, protect, instead of picking the queen up and putting her in a cage and all that, they just set that whole frame aside. I think that's a fantastic idea. And it doesn't have to be anything specific, just a little box. I think these pro nukes, you know what? I'm a big believer. If you're a hobbyist, or you got small operation or something, you need to get some of these. Pro nuke, Jester box. The Jester box is made by the Jester Bee Company. It's called an Easy Nuke. So to be fair, that's Easy Nuke. This is Pro Nuke. People say all the time, well, I couldn't do this because I didn't have equipment. Couldn't do that because I didn't have equipment. Well, go get yourself a Pro Nuke. Now you've got equipment. Now you've got the equipment you need to get that swarm, or to make that split, or to whatever. There's no excuse. They're $20 or $25 or whatever. Depends on how many you buy. Like anything else, buy more, you get a little bit cheaper. Jester box, great. I was always a big advocate of having a few Jester boxes. I bought 5 of them years ago, and half of them have gone missing. People borrow them and they don't bring them back. But that's why I'm charging a deposit on my nuke boxes now. And I charge $20 deposit when I sell a nuke for this Pro Nuke. And that's cheaper because I buy them in bulk. That's cheaper than what you could buy it for at the store. So it's an excellent value if you choose to keep it. And it doesn't cost you anything if you choose to bring it back. I did a hive the other day, and I could hear them roaring on one side. Kind of separated like this, and I could hear them roaring on one side, not the other. So I kind of thought, well, the queen is likely over there, and I think I was right, if I recall. And you can do that. Here's another trick. You want to narrow down where the queen is? Drag out 1 or 2 of your Pro Nuke boxes. Take this entire colony. There's 10 frames in here. Okay, and there's 5 fits in the Pro Nuke, or the Jester. That's fine too. You take 5, you put it in one nuke box. You take 5, you put it in the other nuke box. And you give them 5, 10, 15 minutes, and you can open those 2 boxes, and by the way they sound, you'll know which box the queen is in. So then you've narrowed it down. And then do it again. Separate it 3 and 2. And then you can narrow it right down to the 1 or 2 frames that she's on. You'll know. That's a little trick you can use. There she is. She's a big black queen with a big white spot. So I just have to get up and put her in my Pro Nuke box right here. So I'm going to make a queenless. I'm going to make a queenless split out of this. So again, I'll start with a nice fat feed frame, just to hold the jester box down. And I'll give him this frame. This is a pretty nice, yeah, it's a really nice frame. It's drawn, it's a little better on one side than the other, but it's overall pretty nice. I'm making these a little stronger. The deal was one frame split, but that was, I was making those quite a while ago. So I want to make these a little stronger for them. Take that off. So I'll make these at least 2. And a shake. Okay. There's 2 frames of brood. Okay. There we go. Queenless split number 4. And that fulfills my obligation. I put that frame of 4 NBs in here. It's not a good idea. Mix that up. But this isn't 4 NBs. So we'll put these with that queen. So now I just need to make sure I remember which one this is. Fat chance. Oh boy. So I need to make notes. I'll take this off because there's no longer queen in here, so there's no reason it should have a queen designation. And I'm just going to put a B right there. B for builder. S for starter, right? So I need to finish outfitting this little nuke. It's not going to be the strongest thing in the world, but she's got a really good laying queen. So I'll give her some feed. I'll give her a place to lay. And in short order, that nuke will fill right out. Okay, there's a completely empty frame. And a mostly feed frame. I need one more. So there's a partly open and partly feed frame. I'm not worried about selling these. Demand is high this year. I guess I'll set that right here as an empty spot. Now just show you these little doors. Little doors are kind of cool. Yeah, it just bends the plastic here at this little hinge. There's a little hook here that grabs the plastic so it doesn't leak. There's not much holds it down, but once you push it up, it just sort of bends and it snaps into a little groove in the top. I do find it a little hard sometimes. That's not bad to pull down. See, it really locks in there sometimes to close. But that little bit of effort to close it is the single complaint I have about those Pro Nucs so far. Here's one that fits my queen replacement strategy. I'm gonna go get a nuke box before I start. I'll perch this one on top of my Pro Nuke for now. This one fits the profile of my queen replacement strategy. This is a 2020 queen. That's 2 years old. And that's my threshold for replacement. If she's 1 year old, I will consider keeping her. If she's more than 1 year old, I will not. And you can see that this one needs to go anyway. I mean, look at it. It's not doing good. She's just kind of old. So there she is. on the story frame, on a pollen-laden story frame. We'll put that right on the outside. I'm not too concerned with her having a whole complement of brood and bees. Really, I'm trying to harvest the excess that she has here. The trouble is, she really doesn't have any. There's some pollen I'll use tomorrow. So, yeah, she's just kind of crappy. I'll let her lay for the summer and then she'll be done. I'll put that there. I'll put that there. You know what? That's a pollen frame. I'm going to keep that. I'll shake them in there, though. Mostly drones. This is kind of a crappy frame. I'll give them that. Put that there, and I'll put something there for her to lay in. Is there anything in here? You know, there's a little bit of room there. I'll just put that there. Okay, so that's just this is a retirement home, is what that is. It's maybe not a good thing to talk about it that way, but okay, this is a 2020, and it has a 3, so this was marked as a at least average strength. It looks good. Looks good. So what I plan to do here is I've got another nuke box sitting right over there. And after I do this, after I nuke them up, I nuke up a 2020 queen. I'm not that concerned with the background on that queen. She has no future in my apiary, I want to put it that way. She's here to spend the rest of her days laying brood. The rest of those days won't be that long. And she's doing all right, though. Boy, she's laid that up. So my task is to find her and put her in that nuke. And then I can use the resource that's left behind. So you see the use of resource here. People may be thinking, well, you're pulling down all these colonies, you're decimating them, you're getting rid of them, they're not going to produce honey. And you're right, they're not. They're not going to produce honey. But what they are going to produce is long-term benefit. Because these are going to produce brood all summer. And that brood will be used for splits, for nukes, that will be taken over by my newly grafted queens. Okay, see, I can graft. If I take apart 3 or 4 of these decent colonies that have old queens, I can put together a nice cell starter, and I can make 100 queens or more off of that. So the potential is multiplied dramatically. It's another example of using resource in the apiary. It's not just honey, it's not just hive count. I think hive count is one of the most short-sighted indicators people use. A lot of honey producers do that. Oh, I got 5,000 hives. Yeah, good for you. They're not they're not healthy. Your queens are all come from foreign land, and you're always buying bees. You don't produce nukes. You don't produce queens. They're not locally adapted. All those reasons. This is my opinion. I believe a beekeeper will do everything in their capacity of their apiary to mitigate that kind of activity. And I don't want to judge anybody, but I want to encourage people. I want to encourage people to get on a sustainability program. I'm gonna put that in this box just preemptively. So the last couple of years, these Nucs that I'm making now, you know, they'll come into the mid to late August when I'm done with them. And they'll have, I don't know, 2 or 3 frames of brood or something, and it could be right full. And it was 3 years ago. Met a local guy. He spoke up, and turned out being a really nice guy. Made a good friend. And he just comes and he buys them for a highly discounted price, because you know they're kind of old, so I don't want to winter them. And he'll just take them home, and you know 50% of them live to summer, and he's got nothing much invested, right? And we get to visit the whole time he's here picking them up. He's a smart guy. I learn a lot of stuff from him. So anyway, just one of those things. I've got more than enough value out of them by that point. I guess in a way I should winter these, you know, because if they come out, and every egg laid is a value, right? So if there's something laying eggs, she's got value to you. But if I winter them, and oh shoot, if I winter them and half of them live, then you know, still got half of them. If they get strong enough you can OTS them, then great. If they just produce brood for a split or to support a mated queen, great. Queens are not your value. Brood is your value. Right? Queens are pretty easy to come by. Not that hard to make, not that hard to produce, not that hard to find, to buy. Another little project I need to do is I need to find a queen that wasn't doing so good. Maybe that one over there that I found, she was kind of on her last legs. And I need to designate her the official mascot of Faith Apiaries for the summer. That sounds weird, eh? Take a failing queen and make her your mascot. And what I mean is, when I do some of my markets in the summer, I'll take my observation hive, and I don't like to take, you know, I don't want to take my best queen, mess her up and take her out of the hive for the day, or usually it's a couple days. I get home late at night and I don't care to come to the apiary and put her back in a box. So I usually try and find one of these old failing queens. I'll put her in there, just like the old pony at the petting zoo. Gentle with the kids, you know. There she is. She's not marked. That's largely my problem. And she's colored just like the comb. So she is going to be marked here in a few minutes. She will be blue. Royal blue. Okay. Well, the rule is, the frame she's on goes in the nuke. So that's the frame. Okay, blue. I love this catcher. I've tried doing it just with my fingers. I just don't feel like I have the fine dexterity to not hurt her. You know, to not squeeze too tight or something. Okay. So this gets put back together, I suppose. And put this frame in there. I don't put too many bees because I want to use them for I'll shake some of these off. I'm going to use them for my starter. having lunch right now. Okay, get this one here. Okay, so there's another little resource colony. I love those things. They just produce brood all summer. Oh, I kicked the bucket. Let's make another one of these. The smoker's mostly gone out. Okay, we'll do this the old-fashioned way. We're being rough on them today. Looks like the story frame is laid up, and there's a little queen right there. The mark isn't very good. Okay. Well, that's nice. I kind of made up for time with that one. Took me a long time for that one, and this one didn't take me any time at all, hardly. Blue. This one's not very big. These queens, I got these from a friend. His queens, they're camouflage. They're kind of the same color as the brood frames. They blend right in. So, got her marked there now. She can wait right there. And I'll take this one. It's a pretty decent looking frame. I'm just going to kind of leave this as is. I don't have to go through it. I've got what I want. I'm going to fill that out with frames that I've got over here, though. As is often the case, my batteries go dead in my microphone. So I'll just finish off with what I said to begin with. But I've made the little resource nukes here, a few of them. I've made a couple for sale. New nukes are selling well this year, so I'm just making those on spec. And that's all I have. I don't have any more pro nukes, so if I want to sell more, I got a couple jesters kicking around, so I could use those. But hopefully I've got enough bees here now that I've made queenless with these colonies, and then we'll set up a queen right finisher as well. That's not nearly as involved. It's basically a strong queen right colony. We'll just select something here and move it over to wherever we set our queen rearing system.